Very much for that introduction, and I am so pleased to be in this room full of men, deep voices, strong-looking men who I would say, you know, it's a manly presence today. Well, there's one female here also. So this topic is, you know, I'm pleased to be able to present it to you. I thank you for having this day that men will realize we need to, you know, have icons, we need to have exemplars, you know, that persons who we can follow. And Minister Comments definitely showed us some very good points. A family man for more than 20 years. Most marriages are lasting 4 years now. So that alone is an accomplishment. He showed us that in the fact of doing business, the adversity he had. He mentioned that he couldn't see the pain, but despite the adversity, he was able to stand on the strength of Christ to go forward and carry on his business. So two lessons I learned. I learned there is business stress, which is a cause of depression and mental illness among men. This is a part of my topic. As well as a support system. And he had it in his religion, and he was able to survive it. Other persons, they don't have the rock of Christ to stand on, or to sing and to have it there. They could come and come to see me in my office. He didn't need me. So his lesson shows us the importance of having good mental health. And you see, men, we think we are the strong sex, we think we are the ones who have to carry the burden of the house, and sometimes we may have to be the one in charge. But even though we know, and I grew up with a very strong father, he had what they call a rod of correction. If I step out of the light, I would get, you know, spanking him, hanging there. So I learned. But what we see now is, we have seen years now, the women had a movement since July 1848 where they wanted rights for women. And I was seeing a young woman here, so I'm not bashing that. Now that was a good thing, because at the time women couldn't vote, they couldn't be educated, and at that time that movement needed to propel women to get better rights, to have some sort of equity. The feminism movement, there were different waves. On the last wave, I think it was sometime in 1970, women actually excelled. They actually they had that push. They actually started to go in the good place. They started to get salaries equal to men. So while they were doing that, what we found was that our boys and men were now experiencing fallout. And our boys and men are experiencing fallout. And the studies will show that when you have, and you look at depression and suicide, the men commit suicide twice as much as women. Now this is a startling fact. As a psychiatrist, we want to know why is that gender disparity. Not only does that happen, but the fact is, the life expectancy, that's in Trinidad, women, they live until on the average 76.4 years, while men 69.6 years. So don't be worse. And I always joke about why probably you not that so much, we just want to go down at a place. But the fact is, those are facts that we have to figure. Why are men dying more by age? So suicide rates are higher, and homicide rates are higher. So we know that young men are killing young men. So are we the endangered gender? This is what we do. So I am glad to sound the alarm. And why I want to sound the alarm, 1 in 5 of us, it is predicted in this room, will to succumb to some sort of mental stress, where we need to have a talk, we need to reach out, we need to get that help. Not necessarily from a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but just you might go to your hospital, you might go to, you know, but you will need that. 1 in 5. And it is really now, we have to realize why, we were trying to figure why this is so. So I want you to, depression is real. Since the WHO, since I think it was 2015, they were saying that depression globally would rise as a high cause of what they call the economic burden for health. So the pressure we would have had now to keep it up. So they gave a projection, but the COVID acted as an accelerant, and the unemployment, the fact that after COVID you had global recession, we found people had job loss, people had, they had deaths from the COVID, their mother dying, etc. The challenges having to stay home and lockdown, that accelerated it. So right now, we found that in 2030, it is predicted that the global burden and health pressure will be the highest. Governments worldwide are prepared for this. My cousin Terence is the Minister of Health. He's prepared. We have 27 psychiatric outpatients there. We have also what we call stress clinics where they announce that. Why are they starting this thing called stress clinic? Persons don't want to come to a psychiatric clinic. The stigma of mental health. We are going to know more people's clinic. So we are trying to change stress clinic. So in Varma, we named it the Varma Mental Health and Wellness Clinic. And our idea is if you are having a problem with your wife arguing, or a child and a parent, come to us. Come to us before it reaches the depressive stage. But patients, persons in the community still, see that is a bad people thing. And this is the challenge of the stigma. This is why certain people do come to us. So, Pastor Karen said, let's put on other clinics. Let's give other things. So they started an adolescent clinic in Montpellier, which is a free clinic. And if your child has a problem, they do not have to come to the child guidance clinics, which are the psychiatric clinics, which we have free overall in 20 people. They can go to the adolescent and just speak. So, my parents, mommy don't want me to go out, mommy want me to wear short dress, or when you're growing up as a teenager, you have that resistance from the young people, especially when they are now going into puberty. That little darling who's a follow all around, talking all the time, want to hear you talk, suddenly you're there. Suddenly, you don't want to hear you. Ask them, how was it in school? One good still level. I will experience that. I told my parents, I go to pick them up. How was your school? Okay. Yeah. And you get one would say, well, why I come into drop you? Better I said that right. Better pick you up. We still have to persist on that. So therefore, and why I am so happy that Minister commented here was here. Because you see, he could be, it's not just health. You have to take care of our young. You have to take care of the young ones, idle youths. The problem we have is when youths are idle in the community, they can go to the gangs, they can go on the play. So we have to provide opportunities, and he has certainly shown by the program we have opportunities. But even though we have all that, before that we have Naylan, we had other programs, and we still find a segment of the youth who do not want to come out. They just want to stay home, and they can get a stipend, and they don't want to come out. So we would, we have to attack that. And attacking it means his ministry is important to get them out. And the push is to push to get those idle youths into some sort of camp. Because if you are the block and you're not in school or you're not in family business, that is a disaster for a future gang member and criminal. So they see we have to have youth camps. And before the youth camp got a party where they say life, mission life, you come like you kind of mushroom the antisocial behavior. But we have to approach it different. We have to teach these children prayer, spirituality, lessons, trade. We have to do these things. And so looking at the youth is something that it frightens me, because when we look at the figures, and all of us will have young persons between the ages of 15 to 29. Between 15 to 29, suicide is the fourth highest cause of death among them. I have 3 children with that age group. So you have to watch. So our duty here is to realize depression is real, suicide is real, and we have to recognize the signs. Because 700,000 persons kill themselves globally each year. So this is something we have to realize that it's there. So it's not something we can say, oh, you're just having a bad time, shake out it, get out it. Long ago, depression was not realized, it was a real disorder. So sometimes a parent would say, you're just lazy. You just, you don't want to work, you don't want to go on the way. You have to be a little careful, because when we push a child and we are trying to love to shake that child to do good, that child will want to go and end his life. So we have to be cautious now how we are going to do it. So therefore, when you look at children, what I see happening now is children, young children now, they are now very influenced by the social media. And we find children are spending more time with video games. And not only video games, they're spending more time now looking at porn. And this is the danger. The Minister of Fitzgerald Hines had a statement recently where he said the porn accelerates violence. And I agree with him, because the type of porn you have now is violence and the meaning to women. So therefore, if we as a society want to rescue our young ones, want to help them to get that level of mental well-being, we have to look at the things that are flagging over the other direction. So you find that what we found that at 25 in the USA, 25% more males were more likely to be at home than females. This is young fellas who felt entitled. They don't want to control, they don't want to do anything. They just say, look, I didn't ask anyone. I am here, and they are we have in Trinidad professionals coming to me. Their children just want to stay home and still play activities. How am I going to get in that child's mind to actually get that child to say, get out of that habit, it's a real world? But the problem is the young male now is more in the virtual world. That is the escape. And we have, this is a challenge we face. What is our future going to be like? And you see, the thing is, it's not just the young one you have to worry about. I grew up with my mother as a housewife doing work, and she was like the CEO of the home. Everything was mommy. So she was there. Daddy was the strict breadwinner. So mommy used to be the one cuddling me, daddy used to be the one disciplining me. We need that. We need the family unit to help that mental health. Because you see, the new problems in society is not just the social media that is taking our children, finding video games, violent video games, but also the lack of a father. Sure. You see, so this is something we have to know the family unit is important. Children find, there was a study in Harvard, and the graduates who actually made it. They say, why you made it? And when they did that study, they looked at things like how poverty in the home, etc. And they found having a love of a father was very instrumental in getting that child to be good. So this is important. Healthy young ones, as parents, as fathers, we have to be in the home, we have to encourage them. So the youths again, when I look at the youth, the problems that youth would face, we found that studies have shown that even sometimes, even if a father is present, when they did some surveys, they found that the father will speak to the child 30 minutes, and the child will spend 44 hours a week on social media. So a father may be present, but you have to be present in that life. You have to get that engagement. If you don't, it's like you're not there. So therefore, our problem again is the fact that studies have shown, and one of our lecturers here, Professor Harima, that families who play together with their children, those children have less suicidal tendencies. So we could save the other generations if we stay together. Studies in Chicago show that if you have that family meal, you have family meals, they get less drug addiction. So you see, those figures tell us that the importance of the family, the importance of prayer. There's also something that I want to look at. Remember, you have single mothers, and single mothers, when you have a young girl, she may be fooled by an elderly man, she may have a child. How are we going to help her? I have already in my parliamentary sessions said I don't want that young girl to go back to school right now. Education is important. I want to stay and mind that child, because the attachment of our mother and a child is important for that child having feelings years in the future. So if a child is crying and get that mother to be there, attention, etc. So my suggestion was, give her, teach her proper family planning, so it wouldn't happen again and again and again. Empower her, let her go to the community and take part of her community drive where she can cook food for the social displays. But she's staying behind her child for the first 2 years of that child. So all these are things, because a child like that would be a child who can't get attachment, who will resent authority, And a child like that would be a problem. So those are things we have to know. Now, another problem we have is males tend, and this is for adult males too, we are having what we call a mask of masculinity. We don't like to show our weakness. We don't like to cry. And this is a problem we have now. So we are trying to tell males, you have to call, you're not, you have the times are changing, pressures are different, and our challenge really is to not just the stigma of the clinics, but now men, if a man and a woman is depressed, the woman will reach out to her friends, to the clinics, and men go home. So there's a slide somewhere there about there, if you want to move forward. It actually tells you about how men and women handle depression differently. And there's this slide, so I don't know probably, but we handle depression differently. So a man may get irritable, a man may lash out, a man may blame others, a man may seek help, women seek help. And men, they tend to look at alcohol, sex, and they tend to do, and that is their coping mechanism. Now, alcohol is something that can depress you further. So while our culture, you people go into the workshop, they go in the workshop, and if you are depressed and you go in the workshop and you are lonely drinker, this is trouble. If you go in the workshop and you talk to the bartender, and you talk to whoever, and you vent about your wife home, treating them out, your father treating them out, that might be an idea of venting. Where we worry is the lonely drinker drinking, or using alcohol to cope. You can't use alcohol to cope. This will not further bring you down. So this is why we have to appreciate now our challenge is to get men to come to our clinics, so let them know the emotional pain is real. And you see, recently I was at the launch of the Minister of Family and Social Services, and Ms. Dwarika, she launched a hotline called 800-HOPE. Now this is a number you have to remember, 800-HOPE. Anybody, a young boy, elderly gentleman, anyone who has problems, call this line, and this line will actually give you the ways to talk to somebody and where to get help. Now, we got that line sometime, I think a few months ago, and it was just 3 months before the American also launched our mental health hotline. So we are close to that. They saw the need. They saw the need with the increasing depression, increasing suicide, and at least the government was on top of that. Now, but what was amazing and how this special, what shocked people is when she said the aging population is more, you see more suicide among aging people. So this is something now that we now have to address. So we know about the young persons, future generation, but what's going on in the aging population? Now, I don't know about you guys, but I used to like to look at a show called Soul Train. I didn't like to look at Soul Train. Alright. So I grew up looking at it. And you know Don Padillas, Don Padillas at the age of 75 committed suicide. And you see, he had everything going for him. He had a wife, he had kids. So when that shocked me, but it shouldn't. I use his experience, what he did, to educate us. We have to look at our parents. You see, if you get a woman and you're in a home and you're isolated, you know there's something called emptiness syndrome where the woman would say, my husband died because they all with us, or my children is now not home, and a woman is there all alone, and she now has nobody to speak. Social isolation leads to depression. So therefore, our duty and your duty as church members is visit the people who are elderly, who can't come out, get them involved, have them in fellowship. You see, because we found that if you are alone home and you are lonely and you have financial issues, your children not even bothering with you, you get problems. So I had this gentleman who attempted, he actually tried to die by suicide. When I saw him in the clinic, I said, what would you? He said, no, I worked hard for all my life as a carpenter, worked 7 days a week, provided for my children. Now my children don't want to visit me. They just don't want. I called them and said, I need next community health center. The Dixon said no, the daughter said she's too busy, and they were too busy for that guy. And he now sat down with us. he has depression can also come if you have something called comorbid conditions. So if you have, like if tomorrow I have diabetes, I start to wonder why I get this, that other person doesn't have it, you have to take tablets, or even worse yet, insulin, that could depress me. And if there are also different things could depress person, but illness, you have arthritis, you can't walk. So when I spoke to this guy, he told me that he was a strong individual. He used to be lifted up all over the material stuff, the houses. He said, look how frail I am. I have to walk with a broken stick. I have arthritis. I feel useless. So I feel like, what's the sense of my life? He went into the back, and nobody wanted to attend him. It's like he was invisible. And they say, come again home. He said, no, come on, I went to the back. I chatted, I talked to all them girls in the back like me, because he was a strong individual. So he feels invisible now. So we have to look out at the population now to see we are now providing systems. I told my parents, I say all these people come and depressed. We don't want to give them to their medicine. We need them to come and engage in an activity. They have to come, they have to go for a bus ride, they have to tour the place, they have to see all the buildings that they see. They just come and do crochet, but we get them engaged in speaking. They found that group. So this is our plan. Hopefully we can get to those areas. So while we look at the aging population and we're looking at the young population, what about the gap in the middle? Let's look at the gap in the middle. What's happening in the gap in the middle? Well, what causes mental illness? We have a model called a biopsychosocial model. So what that means, right? If sometimes when you're stressed out, your chemicals in your brains change. But if you have prayer, if you have family support, if you have activities to distract you from your stress, if you get help from social services, if you are employed, you find that the chemicals will get back that back. So sometimes we have chemicals that we want to give you if you are so distressed that you need that type of therapy. So there was a case of biopsychosocial. So therefore, genetically, if your parents had depression, schizophrenia, which is schizophrenia is an illness where you lose touch with reality. So I had a young guy from Santa Cruz telling me that the Illuminati was after him. He started to tap his phone and watch it like where he's going. I said, you know, there's nonsense, right? But in his mind, it was real. And we have to give a mention again, it was real. And I had a case that this was a police officer. He was a police officer. And he came, his father was a preacher. And he came from a home, grew up in Christianity, he knew everything that was right and wrong. He got married, and in his duties as a police officer, he had an affair. So he went with this girl, she had 2 children. So right away he started to think, this is not my affair. So that the complex outcome and weighing it down, I should have done that. Then she told him now she was a very, what I should call, a woman who liked nice things. So he have to mind our own. You have to mind this out. He looked for trouble. He looked for trouble. If you go into, you see, the 10 commandments, if you will listen to the 10 commandments, if you obey it, you find that is a blueprint for happiness and goodness. You see, and he had it, he grew up in it. He and his father teaching, but he's straight and he's stiff. So now she wanted all sorts of fancy bar, this and that. He now went a guy in a Chinese grocery and said, listen, I will guard your place for you and come and everything if you give me a little money. So he started to get money. So it felt like he now feeling guilty. His friends know that he's getting a kind of money to protect this person. So yeah, so he started there. So now that did protect. Look what happened. This is the evolution of mental illness. In the night out, if I find out about an outside woman, what will happen? Or he can sleep. And he can be phone away. He has to erase messages. That is a man who cannot rest in his own home. Your home should be a castle in the rest. So I was working. Then I worked out. He worried now if the Chinese government come out and speak on him to say he's getting money. So he was nervous about his colleagues at home. So he was on edge. And being on edge, your body puts out chemicals, adrenaline, cortisol, and those chemicals could raise your pressure, could give you illness. And what he did, in the night when he started to sleep now, he started to go to him, boy, I was just to pull out here, should I do that anything? And he was starting to think and overthink. And after he did sleep for about 3-4 weeks, and then he started to hear voices. He started to hear voices, boy, you stupid. Boy, why you did this? Boy, you're airborne. And it was voices like me. If you put on a radio, he was here. So he turned psychotic. But what turned him psychotic? And the evolution of that was the disparity of what he was trained, going into that. And he got, we had to pull him in medicine, and we had to put him on a desk job, and take away his fire. But the idea is, if you do the right thing sometimes, you don't have that income there. You would not have. But other things could be true. As the minister said, sometimes you want to put in a business and you can't put in a business, because of the external factors. But then you see, you have to get support. You have to get support. Either you pastor. I always tell my people get 3 levels of support. Either your pastor, your doctor, and some relative or friend. And if you feel down at that moment, you can pick up that phone and call it. And you see, men can get highly emotional pain. And 2/3 of men who are depressed do not see help. And some of them don't be fully depressed because depression can come in with something called somatic illness. Females get migraine headaches, neck pain. Males get back pain. So sometimes, I hope we all have back pain. So when you want to change sometimes, they will realize that this stuff could be a sign of depression. And how does depression present? A change in appetite, a change in sleep, a lack of energy. The thinking, your job is down most of the time, you can't get out of the bed, and you have something where you stop enjoying things you want to enjoy. So if a guy loves cooking, if a child loves certain activities and he's not doing it, that is a warning sign. If a child suddenly starts to give away things, tell his granny, I love your granny. The child now starts to change his mood because children are depressed. They may get aggressive and irritable rather than just look down. So if those are going on at 2 weeks, we tend to get worried. I had a child who wanted to harm himself, and you know how the mother found out? The friend called the mother and said, listen, that guy is looking for ways to harm himself, looking up about carbon monoxide poisoning, etc. That mother couldn't sleep in her room. You know how she got it, so you have to be friends with your children, friends sometimes, when you can now get about that too. So therefore now, at this stage, I mean, my time is up, I think it's more than 30 minutes, right? So at this stage, we just touched on the surface, but I wanted to really tell you that depression is real. It is there in all the age brackets. We have to look at the fact that even job-related stress, burnout, are things that we are seeing, and a lot of men tell me sometimes they shorten the amount of people working in their job space, and they have to take up more activities. So it's difficult, financial stress, but you remember, Minister told you how you can get access to some money. You can get access to family social services where you have the plans, so these things are available. So at this stage, I want to say I thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to come here. And any males are unemployed, remember there's a program that they must program. You see, because I have males to come to me and they have no jobs. And you see, our career defines us. If tomorrow I don't have a career, I don't really like a headless chicken. Our career defines us. And this is why we have to tell people now, you lost a job, go into church activities, go to community activities, be best parent. This is why I direct my unemployed patients to get other activities that they can feel useful to. Also, I also tell them, go and join the muscle program where they can train you over. And it's from 80 to 50. So this is something again that we have to address. So again, I thank you for the opportunity. And I said we only touched the surface. But the message here is, men, reach out. It's real, you have to reach out, don't suffer in silence, come forward, let's start a conversation. It's just be free to express your emotion, bond with your father, and recognize changes in yourself and others around you. Because if you recognize that, you can save a life. Thank you.